The Shift is a new film from Angel Studios, and if you don't know or haven't heard of Angel Studios before, they did bring us a huge blockbuster hit last year known as The Sound of Freedom. This film, The Shift, is a science fiction slash adaptation of the book of Job from the Bible. Now, I'm not a very religious person, so going into this, I didn't see it for any specific reason besides the fact that I've heard such good things about The Sound of Freedom, but I don't think I can handle that subject matter, so I didn't go see that film. But this one, I said, you know what, let me check this out. And to be honest, I'm kind of mixed on how, like, I did like the film, so let me get that out of the way. But, like, while I was watching it, there were times where I was like, oh, if they could have taken out the religious aspect from this film, I think the film would have done better. And I kept thinking about that over and over after I saw the movie, and I was basically still come to that conclusion. I think that if they took out the heavily religious aspects of the movie, I think it still could have worked, and they could have still had faith involved in it. But, you know, this studio is believe Christian studio, so they do make these types of movies. I guess. I know they have a documentary called Afterlife, which looks interesting, or After Death. I'm not sure what the name of it is. I didn't look up anything before I started recording this. I saw this movie a few weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago, and I did like it. I really did like it. At times I thought it was too long, and then it just kicked back up. And the science fiction aspect is pretty interesting. So the movie follows this guy who basically we're just kind of thrown into the middle of the downfall of his career, and then he meets somebody who he falls in love with and marries, and then we jump back into it, but we don't know that it's like years later, and all these things happen to him at this time, and he gets into a car accident, and when he wakes up, he's no longer on Earth, basically. He's like in another dimension, I would say. Then he meets this man called the Benefactor, played by Neil McDonough. And you've seen him before. One of the most notable things you've probably seen him in was Captain America. I know him from Quantum Leap. He was in one of the episodes called Play Ball. He was fantastic in that episode, and I've seen him in many things after. He's a really great actor. He's been working for a long time, and I think he claimed he was blackballed from Hollywood for a while because of not wanting to kiss another woman on film because of his religious beliefs. So they fired him, even though they knew going into it that he wasn't going to kiss. Anyway, so he meets this guy called the Benefactor, and basically he finds out that every version of him in all these different realms have always been like bribed by the Benefactor, and everybody has. Like when they, I guess it's hard to explain this. So he calls shifting. So he shifted him into this alternate reality. Which I feel like it's basically, because this is a religious film, that he's basically like, he died, even though that's not the story of Job. So it's kind of weird. It's loosely adapted from the book of Job, but it's done in a science fiction way, and the science fiction part of the film is really cool, actually. Like, that's the best part of the film. And then the religious aspect is just like he writes. So basically, he's the only person and the only version of himself that has ever like denounced the Benefactor and said no to the Benefactor. And the Benefactor has been trying to get him consistently to turn, and he just won't do it. So he still provides hope to a very few people out there where he writes gospel scripture. And he writes what he can remember about the Bible down, and then gives it to somebody who distributes it and prints it, and people read this and they have hope because of him. So he's giving hope to people. Again, none of this is really in the book of Job. All right, so what I remember from the book of Job is basically God was praising kind of Job and saying, like, look at him. He praises me every day. He prays to me every day. He worships me. And Satan, I believe it was Satan, comes up to him and tells him, of course he does, because look at everything you've given him. If you took it all away, he wouldn't praise you. And God basically takes this bet, and takes everything from Job. Takes his crops, takes his home, takes his family, gives him a disease on top of that he's sick. It takes away his health. And throughout all this, Job still praises God. And then finally, one day, Job just had enough, and Job starts cursing God or questioning God and saying God's unjust, he doesn't know what he's doing, and just demands that God show himself to him so he could explain to him why Job deserves this, because he doesn't understand why he deserves this. Prior to this, he had his friends came over and said, well, you must have done something to deserve this. God just doesn't do this. We know that God is just and wise. And that's what pushed Job over the edge to basically demand God show himself, because he knows he did nothing to deserve what is happening to him. And God presents himself to him and shows him, the universe and everything that God is in control of, and says, do you think you could do the job better than me? And do you even understand what you're looking at? And then Job realizes that he's a very small person in this grand universe that God controls. So Job apologizes to God. And then afterwards, for some reason, God gives him back everything he took away from him. And it's not explained really why in my mind. I don't know. I'm not a religious person. If you're a religious person out there and you know the book of Job very well, you can comment down below that I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, the film is loosely based on that in a sense. And so we find out things about his life when he met that woman in the beginning. They got married, they had a kid, they lost the kid, and then their marriage was falling apart, and he got shifted. And then other things happen, or even though you get shifted, there could be another version of you there that could fuck up your life even more. And kind of that's what happened. Once he got shifted out, another version of him went in and broke up his marriage and told the wife to get lost, and then shifted him back out that nope, there's no version of him. She couldn't find him, and she didn't look for him because he treated her like crap when they left. So he's trying to get back to her through this device that I forgot what they're called, that they use to shift. And there's instead of a movie theater, there's this place you could go to and see your alternate worlds. I don't know if it's I haven't seen this movie I think it's been a month. But nonetheless, there are really good actors in this movie. The guy who's the lead, at first, I didn't like him. I believe his name is Christopher Plowa or something like that. At first, I didn't like him, but then I'm like, wow, he's a good actor. You got Sean Astin in this. There's the kid that was the best friend of Corey's brother from Boy Meets World. I don't know his name, but I remember him. I'm like, oh my God, that guy was in Boy Meets World. He was the friend for a while and then disappeared. But yeah, so he's in the movie. There's a guy from the show Enterprise, John Billingsley, I believe. He was on Enterprise. He's a good actor. He's in this too. It's a really good movie, actually. And anyway, the guy, the lead character's name is Kevin. I forgot to mention that's his name. Well, I kind of forgot his name. But yes, his name's Kevin. And all these things happen to him. And basically, at the end, he's just trying to get back to his wife. And the benefactor still wants him to denounce God, because that's how he denounced him. He prayed instead of accepting the offer that the benefactor was giving him. And the benefactor showed him the power he has, and told him, every version of you has done this and has agreed to help me. I need you. And he just won't do it. And even at the end, when he has the final ultimatum and he gets the opportunity where he can go home, spoiler, he says no. And see, when I watched this at the end of the entire film, it felt like I was watching Quantum Leap. I'm not talking about the new Quantum Leap, the original. And the original Quantum Leap, although it dealt with time travel and science fiction, and the story never really there was no continuity in the show, technically. They kind of I don't know, they were winging it, it seems like, as they were going along. But nonetheless, the original series with Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell basically focused it was science and God. Dr. Sam Beckett created this time machine, but he didn't know if he was bouncing himself around, in a sense, his mind was causing him to leap around, or if God picked him up when he went back in time and decided to put him in these places to fix what God couldn't correct. And it reminded me of that aspect and how they dealt with religion, in a sense, or God, in that show without really getting into it that much. They didn't know if it was God or not. They didn't emphasize it on that much. And this movie could have done that too. They could have not focused so much on his scriptures. It just could have been him believing and writing, he could have been writing something else and not religious, scripture down from his memory. He could have just been writing things that, and giving hope to people through his writings or through his speeches or anything. And I think that could have worked well as well. But the religious aspect of the film doesn't really hurt the film at all. I just think it would have appealed to more people if the religious aspect wasn't so heavily involved in the movie. So all in all, in general, in totality, the end of this, this review, the movie, was it good or bad? I honestly think it was good. I think it would appeal to more people, as I said before, if they didn't use the religion aspect so much, but it doesn't hurt the film. And the science fiction part of the film is pretty cool, and it's interesting, and it's not a bad story at all. And it's a real movie. That's the best part about it. It's not one of these Lifetime films or something like that. It's an actual real film. And I don't know if they're gonna license this out to, any, streaming service or to any network television channels, but they probably should, because I think it would actually do better streaming wise. But at the end of the day, what would I give this film? I'd have to be fair enough I don't know if this will be for everybody. I enjoyed the movie, and I think a lot of people would enjoy the movie even with the religious aspects in the film. I think it works very well on its own, on a science fiction level. I think it works well. So I give it 3.5 out of 5, and that's trying to be fair with the thinking about people that aren't religious and thinking of people that are maybe agnostic or atheists that would hate it. And I think they'd still enjoy it for the science fiction part of the film without the religious aspect. At the end of it all, when the movie was done, I liked it, and I think you probably like it too. So yeah, I think 3.5 out of 5 is fair. I think that's a fair movie critique for a film. Yeah, I think that's a good rating. Anyway, let me know if you saw this film, The Shift, in the comment section down below, what you thought about it. Let me know if I got anything about the Book of Job correct or not. And also in the comment section if you do know about it. And yeah, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and share this with somebody else who you think might like this film but not want to see it because of the religious aspect. Yeah, maybe they'll hear from somebody who's not religious say that they liked it and they think they could get past the religious thing in it, because it's there, but it's not. I mean, it is, the morality of it at the end is the religious aspect, but the science fiction is really interesting and cool, and I thought it was a good movie, and it has good actors behind it, and it was filmed very well. The cinematography is good, and the acting is superb, honestly. So yeah, anyway, I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.